Scottish soccer fans showed up in Boston for the World Cup and bars started running out of beer. That sounds hilarious when you say it, but breweries should be taking notes because this story is not just about people drinking a lot of beer. It's about what happens when global sports culture crashes into a local beer scene. We've got the Tartan Army packing Boston bars. You've got Sam Adams running out of Boston Lager, emergency beer deliveries, and actual industry data showing World Cup draft beer is up 17%. So yeah, the headline is funny. I know I caught me off guard. I knew exactly I was going to make when I saw that. This video that we're talking today. So the lesson today is really important for breweries. So what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Tapped In here at Brewbound and Barbells, where we lift pints and weights. And today we're talking about one of the best beer stories coming out of the World Cup this year so far. Scottish fans in Boston, the Tartan Army, Boston bars getting slammed, Sam Adams running out of their famous Boston Lager, and what this whole thing tells us about beer, sports tourism, loggers, tap rooms, and why breweries need to be ready when a major event comes into their town. And look, I know the easy version of this story is Scottish fans drank Boston dry. I get that. That's a heater of a headline. But here at Tapped In, we're doing a little different. So we're not just looking at the headline and moving on. We're going to look at what actually happened, why it matters, and what breweries can actually learn from it. Because if your city has a massive event coming in, whether it's the World Cup, a beer festival, a college football weekend, a baseball series, a military event, a concert, even like a NASCAR event coming through, whatever it is, this story matters. It shows what can happen when a huge crowd lands in the city with energy, culture, and serious thirst. So let's get into it. So today I got a couple of articles pulled up on my laptop here. The first one I want to show is a story about the actual Sam Adams downtown Boston tap room because it is absolutely wild. So let's jump on over. So as you see here, the Boston Lager, right? Not some, limited small batch experimental beer tucked away basically on like the last tap. The Boston Lager, the flagship. And it's a classic. If any basic beer fan kind of knows about Sam Adams, this beer, most people connect directly to Sam Adams and the Boston beer culture as it is. So when you hear that the Boston tap room ran out of Boston Lager, that tells you the demand is real. As you see here, they literally served 4 times as much Boston Lager than a regular 4-day holiday work weekend. They basically drank thousands of pints, and the tap room had to deal with a mountain of empty kegs afterwards. You can tell this was literally someone screaming, "Somebody call distro," before this turns into basically like a wild turnout. And honestly, it's wild to hear because from the outside, this is funny. Like for the regular everyday person, this is hilarious. You picture the Tartan Army rolling through Boston with the kilts. Actually, I got a spot right here. So as you can see here, they basically come in with the flags, the chants, the bagpipes, and the kind of energy that makes a bartender whisper we're gonna need more kegs. But behind the funny part, there is a real business lesson to learn from here. Major events do not just bring in the people, right? They bring in drinking culture. They bring the habits, their expectations. They bring the momentum, seriously. And if you run a brewery, a tap room, or a bottle shop, and you need to know exactly what kind of crowd is coming before they're just standing in front of you with empty glasses. Because the World Cup is not just a soccer event, we learned. It is a big beer occasion. People are traveling. They're meeting up early before the game. I was seeing reports that they were basically opening up some bars earlier than they normally plan. So sometimes they open at 11 or 11:30. They were opening at 10, 10:30. And so they're looking for not only that, but they're looking for a place to watch it. Obviously, not everybody goes to the World Cup. They're finding bars to watch it at. They're celebrating after if their team wins. I'm actually been seeing a lot, even if they lose, The losing nation is still partying with the winners, and so they're following other fans. They're posting online about it. They're looking for places that feel alive. And when a fan base like the Tartan Army that showed up, they're not just quietly sitting in a corner asking for cucumber water and a phone charger. I mean, do these guys look like they're going to be sitting and chilling, quietly? I mean, look at this. Like, this is a great time, if you ask me. And so they're bringing the whole room with them. That's what makes this bigger than beer. These guys didn't just buy pints. They created the atmosphere. They brought songs from their country. They brought color, noise. They turned bars truly into gathering places. That they basically made Boston part of the World Cup story in a way. And that is exactly where beer fits. Beer has always been tied to that kind of gathering. The pub, the match, the long table, the random person next to you who was a stranger 10 minutes ago, and now you're talking to them like you grew up on the same street. That is the beer culture at its best. Not just consumption, but the connection. And that's where I want to tie it to the industry side, because I got this report actually from Brewbound. Let me get this pulled up. Let me jump on over. Because Brewbound actually had an article that talks basically about the BeerBoard data from the World Cup week 1, and numbers matter because according to them, draft beer was up 17% year over year. Imports were gaining share, lagers were dominating. This is the part breweries need to pay attention to, in my opinion, because this Boston story is not just a funny local moment. It's a bigger pattern. The World Cup is moving beer, and it's not just any beer either. Overseas, it's big into lagers, imports, crisp, repeatable match day beers. And honestly, that makes complete sense to me. A World Cup watch party is probably not a moment where everybody's trying to break down a 13% barrel-aged pastry stout and label and like a crazy label that looks like a haunted bakery exploded. If you have that label, sorry, didn't know. That just popped off my head. But that beer has its place, but that is a different occasion. This is pints moving fast, people standing shoulder to shoulder, loud room, long days, multiple stops, and a beer that you can keep coming back to over and over. That is lager territory, in my opinion. Pilsners, Helles, light lager, rice lagers, Mexican lagers, golden ales, like your blondes, pub ales. That is where drinkability wins, and that connects to something we've talked about on this channel before. Like, craft beer spent years chasing bigger hops, bigger ABV, bigger adjuncts, bigger cans, more expressive labels, bigger everything, right? And I'm not saying that's bad, because those beers are awesome. As you've seen on my Instagram, if you're following along, I love that. I love can art. I love all that. But right now, for this scenario, the biggest opportunities in beer right now needs to be if the beer fits real life, beer that fits game day, beer that fits a group of traveling fans, and something that can fit like their lunch, the watch party, a walk to the stadium, a celebration after, and still letting people keep moving, like your lower ABV beers. And that is the lane. So if imports and lagers are winning during the World Cup, honestly, I recommend craft breweries need to ask a serious question. Like, are we giving people what they want during this occasion, or are we just hoping they adapt to what we already wanted to sell for margins or anything like that? Like, that's a big difference, because let's break this down into the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm starting to like that concept a little bit. So the good is the obvious, right? This is awesome for Boston. It's awesome for the bars, the beer, and the tourism, right? And honestly, it's awesome for the World Cup as a whole, because we're seeing a lot more camaraderie, excitement, fun videos on social media. Like, it's crazy. I'm loving it. Like, you can ask everybody. I'm constantly talking about this. But, you don't want a host city to feel like a sterile event, like zone, like it's just boring. You want people out in the city finding those local spots. You want them eating local food, drinking local beer, meeting people, making memories, right? That's the dream. These guys, the Tartan Army, didn't just show up, watch the game, and disappear. If you've seen anything on the news or social media, they filled bars. They marched through the city. They went to Fenway. They gave Boston energy. Like, And that matters. Like, actually, I got some stuff right here. So I'm going to jump on over. So, unquenchable Scottish thirst for World Cup beer pushes Boston bars to the limit. Great clips, as we can see. Everyone's having a good time. And like you're talking like everybody's winning regardless, they're on adrenaline all weekend. Like the bagpipes, that has been a big thing that I've been seeing. And that matters because these major events are not just the actual game anymore. They're everything around the game. The walk there, the bar before, the beer after, the people they're meeting at the game or at the bar. The city that they're going to remember moving forward. And the beer that can be right in the middle of that is your opportunity. A visitor might not remember every street they walk down, obviously, but they'll remember the bar where everyone was singing. They'll remember the tap room that welcomed them, the beer that they had after the win. That's powerful. It's now. Let's talk about the bad, okay? Because the bad is that demand can hit harder than businesses expected. We all saw that. That's what a lot of these articles are about. If you're running out of your core beer, that is funny online, but behind the bar, that is extremely stressful. Knowing a bunch of staff at a bunch of breweries, like they're going to get slammed. Managers are trying to restock quicker, as quickly as possible. Distributors are getting calls. If you're in a state that has like the 3-tier system, I mean, it's already a hurdle to like get everything kind of moving and going. And obviously if you self-distribute, it's a little different, but that's still stressful because you're still having to get your team out in the field and deliver these beers. You might be losing sales. You might be sending people somewhere else. And yes, running out of beer means demand is strong, but if it can also mean there is a planning gap as well. Now, I say this with some grace because nobody can perfectly predict what a fan base is going to do. I'm big in trying to find trends and analysis. And so I completely understand you can kind of plan for almost everything. Like you can plan to be busy, of course, and very busy, but you can plan for thousands of Scottish fans turning your city into a rolling pub crawl with their national pride. And like it's hard. And that's a different beast in my opinion. Like still there that in my opinion is the lesson because major events require major planning. I'm pretty sure I'm guessing that maybe an event coordinator or something is probably watching this and they're probably like, well, yeah, I mean it's a tough underbringing already. Well, imagine having to plan ahead that far as a brewer and to make sure you have enough going through the tanks and sitting in the fermenters and canning and on draft and kegs. Like, the biggest thing is not just, hey, we'll probably be busier. No, like who's coming? Where are they staying? Where are they walking? What time are they gathering? What do they normally drink? A little market research behind that probably could go a little way. What beer styles are going to move? Like it's important to know. Like this is a great knowledge opportunity that loggers were definitely pushing and like selling out. I mean, because who doesn't have a core logger at this point? But do you have backup kegs? Do you have the food staff, the TVs? I know some breweries pride themselves in not having TVs. Well, I would say that maybe you could be the before or after celebration then. That way they're not like forced to try to find it. I know I was doing that when I was trying to watch the USA game. I was trying to find a place where I could watch it. And that tended to be the go-to. And that's where breweries and bars either win at the moment or watch the moment happen around them, unfortunately, on social media or hear about it. And so let's talk about the ugly side. Okay, the ugly side is that not every brewery automatically benefits just because a big event is in town. That should be a no shocker to anybody. That is the part people tend to miss. A global event can flood with a lot of people, but that flood does not always hit every business evenly. Some places are right in the path. Like my previous video at Eighth Wonder, same thing. Like they're right in the hub of it, some of them aren't near there. They're near hotels, they're near the stadiums, they're near transit. Some already have a reputation for being like the go-to spot, and some are tied directly into the fan base. Like if you already have like a Scottish themed brewery or bar, Scottish fans tend to probably already go there. And so, or they're probably going to be geared to go straight to you because they can feel at home, and some places might be a few blocks too far, a little too quiet online and not offering what people are actually looking for in the moment. So, during an event like the World Cup here, people make decisions fast. I can speak from experience on that because I know I did. I was just shooking and jiving, trying to find where I can go to watch the ball, watch the game, have a good beer, and hang out. So uh, they're going to probably ask themselves, where are we watching the game? Where are we going after? Who has beer? Who has those foods, right? And here's the big one. Who looks like they actually want us there? That's something that I took note of during reading all these articles and kind of like being an attendee is like, who like the hospitality side. In craft beer, hospitality might be one of the most underrated pieces of the entire business. You have great beer, but if nobody knows you're ready for them, they might just walk right past you. So if I'm a brewery in a World Cup host city, and honestly, any city with major sports tourism, I'm looking at this Boston story and I'm taking notes personally. Number one, lagers matter. Have a clean, repeatable beer ready. Pilsner, Helles, rice lager, like I said, light lagers, Mexican lagers, whatever fits your brand, of course. That is not the moment to only push the heaviest things on the board. Number two, watch parties matter. If you have TVs, use them. If you don't, maybe you, like I said, become the pregame or postgame spot. There are different ways that you can be a part of that moment. Number three, something that I pride myself in pushing, storytelling matters. If people are visiting the city, tell them why your brewery is needs to be a part of that local experience. Don't just say, we have beer, guys. Everybody has beer. Say, here's why this beer belongs to this city. That is where local craft can compete, always has been. Number four, social media matters. Made a video on that as well. You cannot wait until the crowd is already in front of you. You need to show up online before they arrive. Post the match schedule, post your hours, the tap list, the food, the vibes, the decorations. Make it easy for someone to say, that's where we're going. I mean, I can say that because for the Super Bowl, right off the rip, I knew Over the Horizon in Charleston was playing the Super Bowl, and I know they're a great spot. They got food, great beers, and I mean they even got ice cream. So I knew it was gonna be a good time to bring family out and have fun. So number five, partnerships matter. Hotels, supporter groups, food trucks, local tourism, like Instagram pages and stuff, transportation areas, event pages, all of that matters because the World Cup crowd is moving constantly. So people are trying to find where they can get this information from. And if you're in that path before they tend to choose somewhere to go, you have a shot. And number six, inventory is not boring. Coming from, an inventory background, like it does make a difference between making the sale and telling someone, sorry, we're out. Again, running out of beer is a better problem than nobody showing up, of course, but that is still a problem as a whole because your empty taps during a massive event have the memory left on the table, like it's gone. Like they're going to remember that. And so here's my personal take, right? The Tartan Army drinking Boston Dry is hilarious. It's a great headline. It's the kind of thing people share because it feels almost too perfect. And there's a ton of really good vibes around it. But for the beer industry, this is more than just a funny story. It's a preview of what major event beer demand looks like. It shows up, that sports tourism can move serious volume. It shows that loggers are still powerful. It shows that fan culture can turn a tap room into a landmark for a weekend, or a Tuesday, Wednesday. I mean, these games are playing like all week. And so there's ample amount of time to take advantage of that. And so it shows that breweries need to stop thinking of the major events as like background noises. I know it can kind of seem like that from time to time. I mean, I've had conversations with people and I understand that that is a thing, but these events can be real opportunities. And but only if breweries are ready. Because the World Cup is not going to slow down and politely ask if your tap room has a plan. The crowd's coming either way. The question is whether your brewery is positioned to catch it, basically. And I think that ties back to something bigger for craft beer. People are looking for that experience. They want places to feel alive. They want the story, the connection, support, right? They want something that they can remember and talk about later. Could you imagine having a brewery shirt from your brewery in Spain or Qatar or, Barcelona. Like, could you imagine? Like, and it's all because, they came over here, they visited, and now they, bought a shirt for, some cool memorabilia, brought it back. That's their American story, or that's their, trip to your brewery. And so that'd be wild. That's easy marketing, free marketing, as we all know. Shirts. I mean, I'm always rocking something. And so I understand that. But this is what local breweries should want to be a part of, because the best version of the story is not just Scotland fans drank all the beer. The best version of this is a fan base came to a city, brought massive energy, supported local businesses, created memories that I'm seeing. Even if I remember right, the senator of Massachusetts or something like that, they were talking about like trying to create this to be a yearly thing with them, like, because they showed so much support, donated so much money to nonprofits and stuff while they were here, that they're trying to make it now a thing. And so, I mean, that shows like how beer can sit right in the middle of sports, travel, culture, community. And so that's the real story. And for craft beer, that should be exciting, because this is the lane that, craft beer should want to own. I mean, they're your local guys. And so, and girls. And so, not just, being another option at the bar, being part of the memory as a whole. So, to me, to you, here's the question. If thousands of World Cup fans showed up in your city tomorrow, would your local breweries be ready? Would they have the beer? Would they have the plan? Uh, would they have, the social media ready? Would they have the welcome mat basically laid out for everybody to come in? Because even if they're not coming to your city, there's still watch parties. There's still very proud people traveling. And because they are going from city to city, that you have a big opportunity there. And most importantly, would they know how to turn visitors into fans? Because that's the ultimate goal. Not just to have a pint, not just for, one busy weekend, a memory, a story. They'll start following you, being a part of your story. And a reason for someone to say, when I was in Houston, Miami, Boston, I found this brewery and I still remember it today. This is craft beer at its finest. Let me know what you think, guys. This is a great topic for me because I've enjoyed watching this and watching the World Cup with the family and everything. And this is like, is this just a funny, World Cup beer story, or is it a bigger lesson for breweries and bars during major events? And if you were running a brewery, like I said, in a World Cup city, what would you be doing right now? I mean, I'd love to open that conversation. Drop it in the comments. I'll comment as well with what I would do. But, if that way you can see my mindset on it. And if you've enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Follow along over my Instagram. I'm big on that. Not only for, the support of the channel, but also the support for these companies, these breweries that I work with. They can all benefit from this exposure to them to keep all these small businesses up and running. And I'm going to keep bringing craft beer news, brewery stories, industry breakdowns, and my take on what it all means, because there's always more going on behind the pint than people realize. So, guys, I'm Bennett with Brewbots and Barbells. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.